What's up, my friends? Domination Tips reporting right back after a little absence with a new video format to you, FAQ, so frequently asked questions video. I'm getting very, very big resonance to my videos, even requests, whatever, very many questions about the game, and there are very many detailed and explicit questions which I feel to be unable to answer them in an adequate way in the comment section of a YouTube video. Therefore, I decided to also make an English one or an English episode about some questions which were more in detail so that I could not answer them adequate. So I picked up all of these questions and will deal with them in this video. You can also see I'm nearly about 2 times 5.4 millions for my next pieces of wall. The food I have already done, but nevertheless, let's do first a little attack to finish up my 2 walls before I get offline again and getting robbed before the next World War starts. Oh, pretty nice. I'm also using quite a new system of looting. It's not nothing new. I have used it before multiple times, but I got rid of it and didn't use it anymore in the time between. But I some kind of revived it and now using again. So I'm completely farming today or currently without any raiders in total. Yeah. So I think next time the next Let's Farm episode will come and then I can show it to you. There are some benefits but also some negative aspects about this kind of farming. And I will give all of the pros and cons to you in the next Let's Farm episode. Currently I'm focusing on the next both pieces of wall before I will start with the questions and try to answer them within of my graphics. He don't killed my artillery. Was a little shock moment when this tower started shooting at the artillery. Yeah, so far for my farming strategies. We are again in World War against USA Dankness, our fourth World War. So we had already 3 against USA. The layouts have changed only slightly, so most of the layouts are quite common to us. Probably the locations of traps have changed because I attacked many of that layouts, so probably the owners of the layouts have visited or even viewed my videos and decided to rearrange or relocate their traps in another locations which they thought would be more benefitful. So let's get through over here. Pretty big loot for that tiny base. So very perfect. Let's get up the next 2 walls. Oh, I saw diamonds are again full. So let's exchange them for some more oil. I have 4 more days to do with my machine gun research and I don't activate currently my oil blessing because I already have too much oil. So I'm pretty sure I will be full of oil before this research is done again, like with the airship research. And that's pretty bad because I can't spend it otherwise. No other possibility, only by recruiting or training some troops. So let's see for the World War. Like I told you, against USA Dankness. Our 4th World War against them, the amount of glory highlights this. Also, we have some troop donations to do, but also in 4 hours the World War is first starting. I decided to change my in-game language to English when I do English episodes for you, so that you can read it better and there are no understanding mistakes. So let's get for the next 2 walls. Thank you for the gold and for the food. I will rearrange them in my World War layouts later. So let's first start. What was the first question? Okay, the first question was about dev buildings and the range of them, because there is some theoretical and some effective range. Don't be confused now, I will show it in a graphic for you. Here we are in the graphic I made for you. It could be a little bit confusing, but I will explain everything to you about this graphic. So, if we are now talking about defensive buildings, there are very often understanding mistakes because the the art of description in the game is quite not that understandable. So if we are talking now, for example, about the castle. The question below my video was about the castle, but you can take this principle for all kind of defensive buildings which are shooting. So now let's talk about the castle. The ordinary or the theoretical range is 7. But the problem about this is that the range is getting measured by the center point of each building. So this means from the very center, the range is getting measured. But now when enemy troops are heading and attacking this building, they don't have to shoot at the center, they also can shoot to the very outer side. This means the bigger a building is, the more it loses about its theoretical range. So, like you can see, the castle has a theoretical range of 7. The effective range is only 5 if you're going from the corners, 4.71. Now let me explain how these values are coming, or how are they... why are they existing in this fact? I placed some traps over here so that you can perfectly see that my statistics or even my calculations are right. Because you can see over here we have one tile and the next tile, the next and the next. So the total range is the red arrow you can see. And the red arrow is about 7 tiles or even 7 range from the very center of the castle. This means the red arrow is the range of our castle, but the blue arrow is now the range of our troops which want to head or which want to attack the castle. And this means that because the castle has an area of 4 by 4 tiles. This means at every side we have 4 tiles and in total we have 16 square tiles. So if we are going from the center to the very outside we have 7 range, but if we are going from the very outside, from the latest point or the furthest point where the castle can shoot at enemies to the first point where you can attack the castle, we have to decrease the amount about two tiles. It's a little bit hard for me to explain to you, but it's definitely so that the effective range of the castle is 5 over its edges and only 4.17 over its corners, because the length of the corner tiles is quite bigger than of the edge tiles. It's about mathematical operations and about the sentence of Pythagoras. I don't know whether it's called in English. In German, it's der Satz des Pythagoras. And there you can see that the diagonal range in a square or even in a in a triangle is quite huger than both of its or even all of its sides. Therefore, if you are attacking from a corner, you even have to get, or you only have to have less range, and if you are attacking from a corner, you have to have a little bit of more range. But in total, the effective range of a castle is only about 5, about 4.7 from the corners. Hopefully this was understandable for you. Otherwise, if it was not understandable, I have to look up to my translation to my dictionary and get some better explanations to explain it to you again in another graphic. But I think most of you now could have probably understand it. Here we are again. The next question is about how to farm oil, or how I especially farm oil. In total, this is a very complex question, because it's not only about how to get the most or even the highest amounts of oil by looting. It is like in the reality, saving up your money. In the game, it is saving up your oil. This means to decrease or even make the difference between losing oil and gaining oil in the multiplayer, or from even your oil wells. The littlest difference. So also to lose very low oil only, or very little oil only, because it has quite no sense to go for very big bases, waste all of your troops, all of your tactics, all of your generals to get about 5,000 oil, then getting offline because all of your troops have to retrain for some hours, and during this 2, 3, even more hours you probably get robbed, and in total you lose more oil than you could gain. Therefore, there are some very important questions to get for everyone. First, which age are you in? Are you in the Enlightenment age? I don't think that there are only some oil
oil concerns. There should be some oil concerns. You only can upgrade your factory one time, I think, and only also your troop researches should be really low cost, not very cost intensive. So if you are in the Enlightenment age, I can only recommend to you stay very low at the medals, which is a common trick or even a common recommendation for everyone. Stay low with your medals, not too low. I mean between 400 and 1100 medals to get the lowest bases in which are probably also inactive, but which are nevertheless going on producing oil with their oil wells, which are even working if the player is quite inactive. But if you are in the industrial and in the global age, and I think there are very many more people could have some oil problems, there it is very hard to get some oil. You can use two methods. The first method is about using some radars, some wall breakers and other troops to get the attraction, like I do very often in my Let's Farm videos. And the other way is to use a complete army composition to completely kill the enemy and get the enemy bases. In both directions, I can only recommend to you getting low with your medals. Again, like the Enlightenment Age player, between 400 and 1100 medals. Because it's not sensible to get higher bases. Higher bases may have a huge amount of oil you can gain in total with one attack, but you also will waste more of your troops. And therefore, there are some disadvantages as well as advantages. If you are using a full army composition, this is very strong, and you will very fast increase your medal count. So you are getting very high with your medals in a very little time because you are completely smashing enemy bases. You also will, if you are down with your medals, only get a little amount of oil from every base, but this will accumulate up. If you only get about 400 or 500 oil for every base, but you can do every 3 minutes one base, you will be up to 5000 oil after 10 or even 20 minutes and don't even waste that much troops or planes, tactics, whatever. So this is very cost efficient, but the problem is you have to have a stable connection. So when I'm driving often with my car above the autobahn, we have the problem that very often I got disconnected because the connection crashes between and all of my troops as well as my planes are dead. So if you don't have a stable connection or a steady connection currently, this method to use your complete army composition for the World War is not very sensible. If you have not a steady connection, I can recommend to you using some radars, some wall breakers, and only focusing for oil. Being patient and if just waiting. Sometimes you have even enemies which have their Enlightenment Age enemies, for example, or very rushed Industrial Age, which have their oil wells, their oil refineries, or their oil wells not very well protected, and you can just get them by placing only a few radars. Don't wait for these huge bases with 3, 4, 5, even up to 7,000 oil, because in this cases the oil in the most cases is very good protected. So what I can recommend to you next is also using your vault. Because you can store in your vault about 6,000 to 8,000 oil, I think in later ages even more probably, and you can just save it. And if you are planning to get a big upgrade, probably on one of your tank depots, I don't know, bunkers, factory, airstrips or whatever, just make 24 hours before sure to get all of your oil inside the vault and just store it, because after 24 hours you can get it back again. Then you can also invest in some shipments or in some crates, which I'm doing, a small oil shipment, and there you can invest some diamonds to get some resources which the enemies can just not steal. So in total you can see all of these shipments have about 68 to 203. So I think it's quite the average, about 130. If you now have let's make an easy count, 100 shipments, you should have about 13,000 oil inside your shipments. Then you should also have additional about 6,000 to 8,000. Let's assume 8,000 because we have researched 8,000 inside your vault. So in total you have about 21,000 stored already. Then you can, if you are very desperate, also using your storage blessing. If you are if you are using your storage blessing, this makes over here, storage blessing. If you're using it, this makes that when enemies are attacking you and getting some resources, even oil, a specific percentage of all what was stolen to you, about 27%, will be refunded to you, and it will be stored until you get it or you collect it in your defensive log. So you don't have to click on it, you just have to wait when you need it, and then you can collect all of the oil. You only have to be patient or you have to be attentionful, because if you're waiting too long, about 14 days or 50 attacks, then it will be away, because this defensive log can only store about, I think, 40 or 50 attacks or even 14 days past. So in total, you can very good store. You can even store something in your command post. And if you are now probably about 50,000 oil, or like I am 75,000 oil, and if you are deciding now I want to go for my next upgrade, you can use your vault, which you have to use first. Because if you are already at, let's assume my case, 135,000 oil is my maximum. If I am now about 130,000 oil and in my vault are 7,000 oil, I cannot collect it, because the total amount would be too much, and I cannot collect a specific split of my vault. I only can take everything or nothing. So if you are taking all of your reserves, take the vault first, then take your command post, and at least use your shipments. In total, I think this should be no problem to gain for you some oil, even with some training blessing. You only have to be patient and don't get these big bases. If you are getting too low with your medals, probably below 400 medals, then you get very often stolen by other players which have the same intention like you, downgrading their own medal count and only farming for oil. If you have too much oil, above 80,000 or something like this, you also will get robbed. Even the highest walls cannot protect you from that. Hopefully I could explain this question in an understandable way. Let's get to the next question. The next question is about maze layouts. Which maze layouts are probably the best ones, I got asked. And there is no specific answer to it. I, for myself personally, categorize maze layouts in specific categories. Here we have the next graphic for you, and I only want to show you it's not important how high this player is. It's not important which age, which upgrade status, or whatever. I only want to show to you that I, for myself personally, evaluate maze layouts after the aspect how easy it is for me to get with my first rally next to the town center. And here in this graphic, I place some lines for you to see the ranges of different buildings. You see the white range, or the white square in the center. It is actually the area of the town center. Then we have the first range to the town center, which would be this, the black square. Then we have the second range, the purple square, the blue square, and at least the red square. The red square marks the position where artilleries or even British ranged infantry have to stand to shoot the town center. I know atomic age helicopters have even a huge range of 7, but they are only doing a pointless damage against the town center, so we can just not underestimate them, but we don't have to pay any attention for them. So the 5 range is quite the important range, because there will be enemy artillery, enemy howitzers, or even field howitzers to shoot at the town center. Therefore, it's pretty important, in my opinion, to get your maze layout that quite kind of built, that you have no 5 range available or accessible for the enemy with its first rally. And you can see quite over here where it is marked green. Here everywhere you can just rally with your first rally, because it's very to the outer side. You only have to crash one wall, or you have to get through the entrances. Problem over here is we have some obvious entrances, therefore some traps will be over here, so no option to get from there. What we have over here we have only one wall to crash and then to get inside to get access to the town center. That's what I mean. So therefore I think this base layout is quite not very strong, because from the complete western as well as southern side and even some side of the east, we have that little range to the town center that there can't be any traps at all, because the buildings are so close together, and even we can reach the town center with artilleries, even also with some ranged, ordinary ranged shooters. Therefore, I don't think that this World War layout is pretty strong, only from its ranges. How to arrange or how to locate your defensive buildings in the surrounding is quite a very other question. You can make one entrance very interesting and attractive for the enemy, or you even cannot. I'm currently only talking about the basic configuration of your walls and how hard you make it or how complex you made planning for the enemy attacker to get in range of your town center. In this short period of time, I found no other base layout. Therefore, I have to take my own layout. I would appreciate not taking my own because I don't want to be arrogant or something like that. But I found no other layout which put emphasis on this. My layout, I can only show to you, is very focused on giving the enemy no possibility to get with his first rally immediately close to the town center or in range to the town center. Again, you see the white square is quite the ordinary area of the town center. The black square is the first range, purple square is the second range, blue square is the fourth range, and the red square would be the fifth range, and also the position from where artillery would shoot at the town center. Therefore, you can see, see. Sorry, guys, I'm a little bit tired. You can pretty easy see that there is from the outer side no possibility to get access to the town center. Only if you would drive next to the entrances where some barbed wire is placed and even some other traps. If the enemy now wants to attack, he has first to manage to get to the entrances or even crash the walls, and then he also has to manage to get to the second walls before he can get to the town center. And that's quite the point I just want to reach with my maze layout. We are again not talking about walls, defensive buildings, age or whatever. We are only talking about the basic arrangement of our walls. And so I can only answer to you, in my opinion, maze layouts are the best ones, or in total layouts are the best ones, where it is very hard for the enemy to reach with his or her first rally to the town center. So I think we are coming to the last question. Yeah, the last question should be about using MK, so heavy tanks from our factory, in offense. What I think about. I think about using heavy tanks in our offense is only sensible if you are planning a very detailed World War attack against a strong enemy, or even only in this case, or if you are chasing for very high metal bases. But in this case, I would not recommend it, because if you want to attack with heavy tanks, you have to very, very in detail, I think, plan your attack, because you have to mention or even think about very many details and aspects. So, for example, what kind of tactics and how many do you take with you? What kind of donated troops? Where to place your troops? When or even how or even whether you will rally? How to use your planes and where to sabotage, for example. Because if you are attacking with a very high amount of heavy tanks, I don't show it to you because I'm not very good in it. I haven't ever tried to do it, so I will fail probably. But I give you some links. Look down below the video. There I will link even one player out of my alliance and some other players, some other nice YouTuber, a German one, and I don't know. Yes, I will link it to you below the video. There you can see how to attack with heavy tanks. I can in my video now only sum up which are the most important facts about. Let's see about an enemy base. No, let us start from another side. Which recommendations or which qualifications have to be done before we can attack? First, I can only recommend to you having a high amount and high level planes, because you will definitely need your planes to get rid of enemy defenders as well as to slow down enemy anti-tank guns, because if you are attacking with a high amount of heavy tanks, mostly enemy defenders and the anti-tank guns will be a pain in the ass for your attack strategy. You also have to think about which tactics. And in the most cases I saw, and I recognize that these tactics are the best ones to use in a heavy tank only attack or in a major heavy tank attack, to use betrayal if the enemy has some resistance chapters or even some own heavy tanks which you can take from him. Also sabotage to get rid of the anti-tank guns, which are the most dangerous for your attack strategy, as well as probably one protection, but you don't need in total, I think. Also, there are some problems about, because if you want to loot with this army, I don't think that is sensible at all, because when you are losing only one heavy tank, you will have to retrain them, and they are really costful, because they cost about 40 minutes without training blessing and very much oil, nearly 1000 oil. So I cannot recommend them for looting only, but for World War they pretty seem to be a good approach. You also, what is also recommendable, being Romans, because if you are a Roman, you have quite more army capacity, about 10%, and so you in total you can train more troops to get this attack done. Also, what is very recommendable is the Brandenburg Gate. The Brandenburg Gate increases your factory troop damage about 20%, so all of your tanks you are training are getting increased. If you are in the global age, I have definitely the recommendation for you to get to the, I think it's Leonardo's research. Yes, stage 5, which is getting unlocked in the global age. There you can research 30% of enemy or of your own heavy tank hit points and 30% of your own heavy tank damage. And you should definitely have done the researches, the industrial researches of heavy weaponry in the library. Over here, chapter 3 and 4, which adds splash damage to the heavy tank and which reduces the troop capacity. I think basic researches like standing army I don't have to mention, because they are good at every army constellation and not especially only for this. Therefore, I won't mention them. Here we have one heavy tank attack, which is very perfect to show what I meant. First off, let's see, guys. We see this guy is a Roman attacker, and therefore he has this increased troop capacity, especially or explicitly what I recommended to you before. Also, we see down here a blitzkrieg, which means he also has the Brandenburg Gate, and also his factory troops are getting boosted. So we have the perfect conditions to do a heavy tank attack. We see he has high-level planes, and his tactics are sabotage as well as betrayal. Now, what he first did and what I mentioned with you has to have a perfect planning. If you are attacking with heavy tanks, most often, or the best approach is probably to don't get the town center, but get 50% within the first 75 seconds for the quick victory. That is the big advantage, because you can quite spread out your troops without getting very huge losses, because all of the heavy tanks can very well defend themselves, even dealing high damage to the enemy buildings. Therefore, you can quite spread out your troops, even using your donated troops, probably, your mercenaries, and 2, if you are in the global age, even 3 additional generals. What we see over here, he started with using his planes for the first anti-tank gun, and that is what I mentioned to you. The anti-tank guns are the most dangerous things for your heavy tank strategy. He placed all of his troops very split up, very spread out, so that he can get most of the base even within the first 75 seconds. Also, he used betrayal on an enemy tank which is spawning, so that he gets in total another heavy tank to attack for him, which is very powerful. You see he has 2 betrayals and even 3 sabotage tactics, and he is sabotaging. I don't know why he was sabotaging these both towers, but now he's caring about... he sabotaged the towers to get to use his planes to get rid of the anti-tank gun, and now he already has 54%. Very early, because he has still 50 seconds, over 15 seconds to go, going for the town center. And there you see, that's what I meant to you. In total, I cannot recommend. In total, I cannot show it to you, because I'm not skilled attacking with heavy tanks. First, I think I would have to train it a little bit and to get some experience values, how they would behave in battle. But in total, you see, it's exactly what I recommended to you, using sabotage tactics, using betrayal tactics, using your planes at enemy defenders or to slow down the cannon towers. And yes, hopefully this was quite understandable for you. Yeah, I will give you the link down below the video. Guys and girls, hopefully you got some interesting new facts and some answers to your questions. If you have any more concerns or any new questions popping up, just give me a little resonance down in the comment section. If you liked the video, I would really appreciate getting a like or even a new subscriber. We will see you soon for the next World War attack, I think, are DomiNation tips.